you're managing a great club with a great image, and you have automatically the pressure.
You come to Munich. In the end of the first season, normally winning 1 or 2 titles.
The leadership here is grounded on the field.
Franz Beckenbauer, Bayern Munich, winning Champions League 3 times in a row.
Because of prestige. It's like a drug for you.
Bayern is a bit special.
We work together and want to achieve goal to be the best club in the world together.
This school right here on the left, for some reason we came here for for like a couple weeks, just right here on the left, and really funny actually, because I think we were like 17, so you would go across the street and get a drink or coffee or something, and they have a guy on the door and said, look, you can't go across the street, it's dangerous, there's cars here. And I remember saying to the guy, I moved from Canada on my own, I think I can cross the street. When you're 15 and 16, you think you know everything, but you virtually know nothing. This is where I used to live. This is the second apartment I moved into, right there, 59. I'll tell you whose dad picked me up at the airport. Matt's Hummel's dad picked me up at the airport. He used to be the youth coach. There's so many different memories, you know, being a kid and the unknown of coming from Canada. I became a man here, I guess, so it is weird to be back.
Hast du damals schon vorstellen können, in der Jugend zu sein, dann so eine Karriere zu haben und dann hier Kapitän und Weltmeister, das Ganze, hast du das irgendwie in deinen jungen Jahren vorstellen können?
Nee, überhaupt nicht. Also ich bin mit 12 Jahren zu Bayern gekommen, 95. Du weißt auch, in dem Alter, es ist ein schöner Traum, irgendwann mal Profi zu werden. Es ist ein Traum, mal deutscher Meister zu werden, ein Traum, mal Nationalspieler zu werden. Aber dass dann alles so funktioniert, mit Champions League gewonnen, Weltmeister geworden, Kapitän beim Verein zu sein, hier beim FC Bayern, bei der Nationalmannschaft gewesen zu sein. Ich glaube, das ist kein Ziel, das man sich vornimmt, sondern das ist einfach ein Traum, und irgendwann wird es vielleicht mal Ziel, aber in der Anfangszeit ist es einfach ein großer Traum gewesen.
Well, I think you're probably one of the big reasons I became a professional football player. I think about it. I mean, I came here as a 15-year-old boy, and I think you were the person who decided I was going to do my school at Bayern Munich. Is that right?
Yes, I think you was an interesting player in the way you have the mentality to be a good sportsman. You have fighting spirit, and you was a quick player, and I think it was an interesting guy at this time. I think we have to try it, but nobody knows when you have to go this long way to be a professional player. I didn't know, but I saw some good talent in your person, and I think we try.
Even at 16, 17, you might be the best player in the world, but there's more to it. I mean, I didn't have a clue. When I first came over, I said, why is there a Canadian kid here? But I had a proud English dad who brought me up with football, and I wanted to be my dad, I wanted to be my brother. My dad knew how big Bayern Munich was, and that's why he was open for me to come. I used to have to get a phone card and call my parents from the phone box. It was so expensive, I had no money. The first amount of money they gave me was probably equivalent of 250 quid a month, and I was 16. But I thought I was rich. You know, I thought I had everything. I couldn't call home really as much, and so I had to get on with it myself, which was probably good in many ways because I had to fight a lot of my own battles. It made me become more responsible, more independent, younger. But it was hard for sure at times. And this is where I used to live when I first came over here as a 16-year-old guy. Tana, my old teammate, is the boss now of the youth team. I don't know how, but you're going to show me around?
Yeah.
Come on, let's go.
So, jetzt gehen wir in die heiligen Hallen des Internats, wo einige große Fußballer schon hier gewohnt haben. Badstuber, Toni Kroos haben hier gewohnt, haben ihre Jugend hier verbracht. Jetzt kommen wir zum wichtigsten Trikot. Owen Hargreaves aus Kanada.
Wieso bin ich da in Ecke? Was soll das? Ich will ein Hauptplatz.
Da sind die Spieler, die nicht so bekannt waren. Das sind all die Spieler, die
Sammy ist auch dabei.
Sammy Kufo, ja. All die Spieler sind hier im Internat groß geworden. Wir haben 15 Zimmer, wie gesagt, Einzelzimmer, alles Einzelzimmer. Jetzt haben wir die neue Generation. Wir hoffen, dass der ein oder andere Spieler die Möglichkeit hat, bei den Profis zu spielen, dort reinzurutschen. Wir haben auch Torhüter gehabt, Rensing.
I said it was more in the blood, really. My dad played, my older brother played, so it kind of picked me. You know, and as a young guy, you just want to be like your dad and your brother, don't you? So everywhere they went, they used to have games. I used to just be on the side, messing around, and I think a lot of it's for sure is genetic. And I think sometimes they often say I probably benefit from being the youngest, you know, because I got to see my brother and I got to see my dad and I got to see the mistakes that they made. And by the time I came around, I was fortunate to have learned a lot from them, I think, and a lot of their, I wouldn't say mistakes, but the things they went through, you know, especially my brother. So, like I said, by the time the opportunities came around for me, my parents were much more open to taking those chances and stuff, which was, my brother probably should have been a pro, really, is all I want to say.
Wo es gibt es ja schon gescheite Talente, oder? Alaba,
Hier sind
Schweini.
Alaba ist jetzt der jüngste Spieler, der es geschafft hat, vor 3-4 Jahren von der Jugend rauszukommen in den Profibereich. Trochowski hat auch mal hier gespielt, Schweinsteiger, Weltmeister geworden, hat hier im Jugendhaus gelebt. Und das macht uns auch ein bisschen stolz, dass solche Spieler bei uns im Jugendhaus waren.
My brother kind of had a similar opportunity to go to England, and Bolton wanted to sign him. And my dad said, right, you got to finish your last year of school. And then basically what happened is my brother went back to try and finish school, and he ended up, you know, injuring his knee. And so basically when that opportunity came for me, my parents, even though I was only 16, they didn't want to stand in my way.
Das ist Youssef Mgames, was ich gerade erzählt habe, der Spieler, der vor 2 Jahren bei uns war. Kennst du ihn? Jetzt bin ich gespannt. Ja, Owen Hargreaves. Gefällt es dir hier?
Ja, sehr gut. Bisher.
Von wo bist du hergekommen?
Von Hertha BSC, das auf dem Trikot.
Ah, okay. Von Berlin, eine schon weiter Weg, oder?
600 Kilometer.
We have an academy. We have an outstanding academy, of which we have right now 8 players in our actual squad. During the last 18 or 19 years, 68 players instructed by or in our academy became professional players in the first or second division or in different countries. 68 players.
Ja, mal, wenn man den Weg schaffen muss, dann
Auf jeden Fall.
man muss einfach. Es gab auch viele Spieler in meiner Zeit, die aus ganz Deutschland gekommen sind, und viele sind nach Hause gegangen. Aber ich denke, wenn man irgendwas erreichen will, muss man halt das durchsetzen, weil sie leben.
Das ist ja mein Ziel.
Genau.
Was muss man dafür machen?
Arbeiten.
Absolut. Es gab Spieler, er kennt ihn auch, es gab Spieler in meiner Generation, Berg und Götze, kennt ihn bestimmt, wahrscheinlich nicht. Und es war
Das Top-Talent.
besser geht's gar nicht. Jeder bei den Profis spielt Champions League mit 17. Und er hat es eigentlich nicht so geschafft.
We have 5 world champions instructed in our academy. These are numbers no other club could achieve them. And this is one column of 2, one column on which our future will stand. The academy.
Also, und das siehst du, die Jungs, die es geschafft haben, Basti, ich, Philipp, Muller, Kurs, das Mental ist ganz, ganz wichtig. Also man muss immer arbeiten, weil es geht auf und ab im Fußball. Weil Talent ist ein kleines bisschen.
It's important for them to try to understand the game and to know, depending on each game or depending on their qualities, what they can bring to the team, because as long as they are an important part of the team, they will become important players. And so far, I think that read the game, to know what to do in each moment. That's the, for me, from my perspective, that's the main thing in a football player.
Das ist manchmal das Problem. Er ist ein super Fußballer, aber manchmal hat er auch ein bisschen Probleme hier und setzt sich zu sehr unter Druck. Das ist das, was ihn hindert. Und dann ist er immer, ja, dann hat er so Körpersprache, geht er so über den Platz und dann...
Ja, mei, das habe ich auch getan als Junge. Weißt du, ich wollte so gut sein immer, weißt du, ich habe mich immer unter Druck gesetzt. Aber letztendlich, also du hast ein Talent, deswegen bist du hier, du musst es auch genießen können. Weißt du, wenn junge Spieler machen, Peter, guck mal her, dein Freund da bei der WM, weißt du? Ja. Beste auf der Welt, hat er nicht eine super WM gehabt, aber trotzdem. Es geht weiter. Dann spielt er so wie gegen Manchester City vor 3 Tagen oder 4 oder so von einer Woche. Weißt du, es geht auf und ab. Das ist auch normal. Kann es nicht alles. Aber ich denke, wie alt bist du?
17.
17 Jahre, ich war 16, als ich herkam. Man denkt, man weiß alles, aber man weiß eigentlich sehr wenig. Weil, wenn man einen Schritt macht zu den Profis, ist es schon schwierig. Und deswegen ist es besser, wenn man nicht auffällt, so negativ mit Körpersprache und so. Weil das sieht da Leute, 70.000 Fans und der Trainer. Nee, alle, nicht nur er. Weißt du, stell dir mal vor, die spielst in der Allianz mit 70.000. Weißt du, hast so einen Kopf, weißt du? Du musst, das gehört dazu. Immer positiv sein. Ja.
Jupp, danke. Ja. Danke für Zimmer zeigen. Nein, aber das Nice-Shirt kannst du wegziehen.
It was a hard school back then, when we come through as young guys. Whereas now everything's far more accommodating for the young guys and everybody's really helpful. Whereas when I came through, it was really like rough and tumble. You know, I had a lot of fights in my first year, and I'm a very quiet and respectful guy. But on the pitch, everybody, you know, it was a battle. How different do you think it is now? I mean, because even I think the mentality is also different because everything seems a little bit more relaxed. Do you remember in our time? I mean, in training, everybody was fighting, we're killing each other. Now
you have to see the training now. You know, it's
friendly.
No tackles, and if you saw our training, it was like a war. You know? Yeah. Every day we had some fights.
Yeah. Well, because even Owen Hargreaves, he used to put the starting 11 against the guys who weren't playing on a Friday, and then it was like everybody knew they weren't playing, so it was a fight.
Today is different. That is the new generation. I'm sometimes looking the training sessions and really completely different thing today and what we had 10 years ago, 15.
Effenberg was the leader of the pack, but Effenberg was tough too because he was very demanding and very physical. Remember, he used to kick me all the time and then help me back up. But that's part of the school, that's how it was. And I remember we had a friendly somewhere in Tunisia, I think. I was about to board the plane and said, no, Effa, you go first. And he said, oh, don't worry. After about a year, towards the end of the season, he said, you get on first, you're going to be my successor anyway. And that's how it was, you had to prove over time that you were worthy in a way. And that's kind of how the school was, whereas now, like Philip was saying, it's not like that anymore. Now the leaders are Philip and Basti are far more accommodating and helpful.
Das war auch
eine harte Schule eigentlich.
Es war eine harte Schule, definitiv. Du weißt, wie es war. Es war einfach eine andere Zeit und es war ein bisschen anders. Aber es war trotzdem schön irgendwie. Es war ganz schwierig, aber es war schön. Und die Zeit hat sich einfach geändert. Das ist anders jetzt. Ich glaube, junge Spieler haben jetzt größere Chancen, sofort in die Mannschaft zu kommen, sofort mit dabei zu sein. Sie werden sofort aufgenommen. Es wird ihnen mehr geholfen als früher. Ob das dann immer gut ist wieder was anderes, weil sie nicht mehr das Harte, das Durchsetzen, das geht ein bisschen verloren vielleicht.
We had a ton of fights out here, just because that was the old mentality, the German mentality of fight and work, and that's what my old youth boss there, Bjorn, was saying. One of the most important players for young players is to work. Just keep working hard. And when I came to the first team, I just wanted to learn and work, and it was aggressive. It was hostile at times, but that's professional sports. That's the nature of the beast. It's survival of the fittest, and I learned a ton from being in that situations. And my old coach, Owen Hargreaves, he was amazing. He pulled me aside one day and he said, "Look, Owen, these guys are all going crazy about you. You're doing great in training, and they can't stand it. They can see you're the future." And he said, "I can't say any more than just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job, and if you ruffle their feathers, you're doing it right." And he said, "I can't help you anymore because otherwise I'll lose them." And it was enough for me, and I realized I was on the right track, and I just kept chipping away. I'm not sure you remember this. I remember we played Real Madrid in the semi-final at home.
I remember. And you played a fantastic game.
Yeah, but after the game, I was still, I think, on my amateur team contract, and I came in, I was getting a drink. I was still in my full tico, and you came over and you said, "Oh, and we're going to do a new contract tomorrow." You outplayed your old one. And I never forget that, how, even though you didn't have to, because I had a contract already, how, like you said, it was almost like a family in a way of, he's past the point, and he outperformed that one. And I remember how much, even as a young guy, I admired that, really.
Yeah, but I believe that takes part of the business, because if you have a young guy with a not rich contract, and then he's playing like you played, not just alone in that game, in the whole period of the end of the season in 2001, I remember very good. Then I believe it's our obligation to give you a better contract, richer contract, because I believe, I have the feeling that at the end the average regarding the salaries has to be fair. You have to pay you have to pay fair prices to the players, and that maybe will be then paid back once when you have a different situation with the player. So I believe we always try to anticipate the market in that. If you're fair to the player under normal circumstances, you get paid back.
I remember I got the new contract like that week, and I remember for like that week, because it was so much money compared to what I earned, I like drove so carefully, because it humbled me so much, you know, to come from, I grew up in Canada, you know, and with English parents, and never really thought that, you know, anything like that was real possible. But it just shows if you keep working, you know, you keep chipping away. Talent is a part of it, but personality and mentality is another one. And I just had the right environment to work at that, and, you know, to be able to play in a game of that magnitude where millions of people are watching. I remember being on the pitch against Figo and thinking, oh, he's going to kill me, like he's going to absolutely work me. And within a couple minutes, I nicked the ball off him and went on an amazing run. And it was such an eye-opener for me, because it was like, whoa, I just did that to Luis Figo. And it gave me so much confidence as a young guy. And then I never looked back. I mean, I came here as a young guy, 16, and I didn't know anything about Germany and Bayern Munich. So for me, 16 to 26 was a big part of my life. And I think even for me, I can understand how special Bayern Munich is, because it's not just playing, you know, like you said, it's the city, and you have a lot of, you know, there's so many opportunities, I think, here. And I think you go to other teams and you don't realize how special Bayern really is until you go.
Yeah, I believe what probably is a bit different to other clubs is that Bayern is a big family, where we care about the family members. If somebody is in trouble or in problems, we try to help, independent, is he still in an active role in our club or as a former player, and that has happened sometimes. And we have a really family feeling to help each other, and which is very important from our point of view. And then the club is guided by many former players, like myself, like Uli Hoeneß in the past, or Franz Beckenbauer, or many others, or many of our former players are still involved in the youth departments as coaches and in many other roles. So supporters like that, but we like it as well.
You know, you watch it on television, or you watch Bayern, or you play against them, and then you come see it. And I don't think people realize, especially in England, how big a club Bayern Munich actually is, you know, in terms of training ground and the stadium and the facility and everything it does. I think I can easily say it compares with any other club that I've been at.
Yeah, I would say that it's, of course, Bayern Munich. I think that it has the prestige, it has the glamour, that image of seriousness all over. And for example, in Spain, it's like always you see Bayern with a lot of respect, and probably it's not as popular or as known in UK, because the Bundesliga for the last few years is becoming more and more attractive for the foreign players or for the foreign football fans, and that's very good, because I think that the level is getting better and better here in Germany.
I was having this conversation in England with Manchester City. I think more clubs should look to the fact that people that have been at the club for a long time, like Bayern Munich, who know the club and part of the kind of the DNA, because I think that way there's more of a connection, I think, to the fans, and especially when you change managers, you know, there's not such a big break and a change of philosophy. And I think, do you think more teams should do that?
I believe fans likes it, and sometimes I have the impression that the other clubs are not confident to do it. I always make the example: if the sun is shining, everybody would like to get the warmth of the sun, and maybe sometimes presidents and chairmen or whatever are afraid about the fact that former players can get more sun than themselves. But I believe it is a good thing, and so we have some players now actually in our team, like Manuel Neuer, like Bastian Schweinsteiger, Philipp Lahm, maybe Thomas Müller, who could run that business as well in the future.
Denken Sie, dass es wichtig ist, dass man hat auch Spieler oder Ex-Spieler im Verein in diese ganz wichtigen Positionen, zum Beispiel Karl-Heinz Rummenigge oder Uli Hoeneß oder Sie oder Pep Guardiola als Trainer, weil in England gibt es viele Clubs, die haben in dieser Position keinen Ex-Spieler. Denken Sie,
ich glaube, es ist ein Vorteil. Also man muss sich organisieren. Ex-Spieler haben auf dem Spielfeld Talent, aber die Karriere ist vorbei. Dann haben sie auch verschiedene Talente und sie müssen überlegen, sind sie etwas mehr vielleicht mit Finanzen, sind sie etwas mehr mit Sport, aber ein Ex-Spieler, ich sage immer wie ein Klavierspieler. Ein Ex-Spieler war ein Klavierspieler, aber nach seiner Laufbahn muss er dem Verein oder wenn er Trainer ist, der Mannschaft erklären, wie funktioniert Klavierspielen. Das ist ein Unterschied und ich glaube, es ist sehr, sehr wichtig, dass Vereine ehemalige Spieler integrieren, weil es schafft Identifikation. Aber die Spieler müssen bereit sein, nach ihrer Karriere auch lernen zu wollen, um natürlich entweder als Trainer oder Sportdirektor oder was auch immer, dem Verein zurückgeben zu können. Ich bin der Meinung, nur weil man ein guter Spieler war, hat man nicht die Berechtigung, in einem Verein zu arbeiten, sondern man muss bereit sein, wieder einen Schritt zurückzugehen, ein paar Dinge zu lernen. Dann ist die beste Kombination. Für mich ist dann die beste Kombination, weil die Identifikation einfach und das Herz und das Blut für diesen Verein da ist und das gibt Kraft.
Heimat einfach. Ich bin in München groß geworden, ich bin in München geboren, bin groß geworden in München, seitdem ich 12 bin hier im Verein, außer 2 Jahre in Stuttgart. Also das ist schon meine Heimat hier und mir wäre es schwer gefallen, wenn ich weggegangen wäre und der Verein hätte hier Erfolg gehabt. Ich hätte vielleicht früher die Champions League gewonnen mit einem anderen Verein, aber der Wert, mit meinem Verein die Champions League zu gewinnen, also mit dem FC Bayern, ist für mich viel, viel größer gewesen. Und ja, ich habe auch gesagt, jetzt, ich habe Vertrag noch bis 2018, ich werde nicht mehr irgendwo anders hingehen, ich werde vielleicht irgendwo bei irgendeiner Mannschaft mal im Freizeitbereich spielen, aber sicher nirgends mehr einen Profivertrag unterschreiben. Und es ist schön, wenn andere mich in Positionen nach meiner Karriere sehen, hier beim FC Bayern, das ist schön. Ich habe noch 3 Jahre Vertrag, also warten wir jetzt mal ab, was danach passiert, dass ich dem Verein immer verbunden bin, dass ich hier Spaß habe, dass ich mir vorstellen kann, nach meiner Karriere hier zu bleiben bei dem Verein. Das ist außer Frage.
I came here as a young boy at 16 and to see the way the club has developed, and I think as you talk about Uli Hoeneß and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and Franz Beckenbauer and all these people that have such a connection to the club, keeping it a very family-based club, I think now you have the next generation with Bastian Schweinsteiger and Philipp Lahm. And it's great to see that connection is still so important to the football club.
We were able to build a mixture, perfect mixture between former players and special peoples from the economy. We got a mixture between ex-players who have been interested, also not just only in the world of sports or football, but also in the world of the economy, in the business, in football as a business. And the other part of this mixture have been persons like Karl Hopfner and some others, specialists who have been working for a long time in the economy by itself.
I mean, right here, we're in the center of Munich. This is the Marienplatz, which is probably one of the most beautiful parts of Munich, really. This is the main shopping area. This is where you come to celebrate the league title. So if you just look up there, there's a balcony up there. And that's where we used to go with the whole team to stand to celebrate. It's a pretty special place, really, because this is where 50,000 people would pack this area. And I remember my first league title. We had won the Bundesliga, and we won the Champions League title. And we got convertibles all the way from the airport and drove really slowly through the center of Munich. There was 1 million people on the streets, and then we finally came to this spot. We stood up and we hosted the trophy, and this was just full of all our fans, you know, all the people that had worked so hard and came to cheer us on over the whole season. You know, celebrating the title and coming here and celebrating with all the fans is kind of what it's all about. So this is a really special place, and it's in the heart of Munich, and probably one of the most beautiful cities for me in Europe. And it's, I think it's another one of those things that makes Bayern so special. I don't think teams celebrate as nice as Bayern. You think about all those massive beer things that they pour on people, and remember all the guys when I used to go to England used to ask me about that. And it's just, there's all these little traditions that are so unique.
Was ist für mich, was ist mein Motiv, was ist meine Motivation? Weil es könnte auch langweilig sein. Aber meine Motivation ist Erfolg. Ich möchte Erfolg haben. Und ich kann, wenn ich sage, was ist mein Job, kann ich sagen, wenn ich bin der Wichtigste, dann ich kann tun und lassen, was ich will. Aber unsere Spieler sind das Wichtigste. Unsere Spieler, unsere Mannschaft ist das Wichtigste. Und wir müssen alles dafür tun, jeden Tag, dass die Mannschaft, ist glaube ich Englisch auch, dass sie im Flow ist, dass sie im Rhythmus ist. Und jeder Tag kann dazu führen, sie ist nicht im Flow, sie ist nicht im Rhythmus. Einzelne Spieler oder die Gruppe, und es treten Situationen ein, wo du sagst, oh, jetzt ist gefährlich. Jeder Tag sind wir dafür da, dass die Gruppe, dass jeder einzelne Spieler funktioniert. Und das muss man kontrollieren. Es gibt, ich will nicht zu kompliziert machen, aber jedes Modell, dessen Job, was man tut, ist am Ende die Kontrolle. Wenn wir jetzt ein Interview machen, Owen, und Sie gucken anschließend, dann müssen Sie gucken, war das Licht richtig, war das Interview? Ja, Sie können nicht sagen, ich gucke mal, ich weiß nicht, jetzt gucke ich nicht, aber morgen gucke ich. Das ist Ihr Job und Sie versuchen das Beste. Also müssen Sie, wenn Sie die Verantwortung tragen, auch jedes Detail kontrollieren. Fußball ist, viele Details führen zu einem großen Erfolg oder nicht.
I think my generation was very strong mentally. Efe, Kahn, Jeremies, all these strong guys, and I think we were best when it was very difficult situations. Whereas now the team is much more, they play much more beautiful. That's what I was saying with Batso. It would be an interesting game because we were quite strong mentally, whereas this team is much better playing. But I still think that part is very important too, to the DNA of Bayern and of Germany, this fighting spirit. Was there a choice to play more attractive football?
We had in 2008 a game, I believe it was a quarter-final against Barcelona in Barcelona, losing 4-0.
I remember that, yeah.
It was a disaster game of Bayern Munich, and during the game, especially in second half-time, where we played fortunately a bit better than in first half-time, I said to myself, I would like to have a team like Barcelona in the Bayern shirt. Now, since 2010, we have been 3 times in Champions League final, winning 2013 in London against Dortmund. This very important trophy. So now we have a very, very good team on the pitch. The team is, I would say, from the mentality very strong as well, because we have players like Manuel Neuer, which is strong, like Oliver Kahn. I would say guys like Xabi Alonso, Philipp Lahm, or Bastian Schweinsteiger are strong as well, or 2 wingers. Robert, we have a good team, and the mixture between young guys like Thomas Müller, who is in the age of 25, 24, and experienced players like Xabi Alonso, Bastian Schweinsteiger, Philipp Lahm. The mixture is quite good, and I believe at the end the outcome is a kind of very successful team.
Guardiola ist dazugekommen, war schon eine sehr erfolgreiche Mannschaft mit Heinkes. Wie würdest du Guardiola vergleichen im Vergleich mit, oder wie siehst du ihn als Trainer? Was bringt er mit?
Ja, seine taktische Vorstellung ist unglaublich. Also wie er der Mannschaft Lösungen gibt zu Gegnern, auch sich auf den Gegner vorbereitet, immer wieder anders. Auch wie flexibel wir jetzt Fußball spielen, ob mit Dreierkette, ob mit Fünferkette, ob
das
mit Viererkette.
Das hätte ich gar nicht gedacht, dass es möglich ist.
Ja, so ist es. Deswegen. Aber er bereitet eben die Mannschaft sehr, sehr gut vor, tagtäglich beim Training und alles. Und das ist exzellent, also taktisch selten sowas erlebt. Und trotzdem, wir hatten auch mit Jupp, wir haben das Triple gewonnen mit Jupp Heynckes und war eine sensationelle Zeit. Davor alles verloren, ein Jahr vorher, 2012, überall Zweiter geworden in jedem Wettbewerb. Und dann die Saison drauf, das Triple zu gewinnen. Das war auch unglaublich und trotzdem spielen wir jetzt einen anderen Fußball als zu der Zeit. Also das ist auch schön mitzuerleben. Wir haben einmal eben dann in den entscheidenden Spielen unter Jupp Heynckes defensiv gespielt, mehr auf Konter gespielt. Jeder hat mitgezogen. Wir haben mit sehr, sehr viel Energie einfach gespielt. Und jetzt unter Pep ist es mehr das Taktische, mehr über Ballbesitz, aber nicht so, was wir auch schon mal hatten hier im Verein, mit sehr, sehr viel Ballbesitz, ohne klare Torchancen oder so, sondern halt wir mit dem Ziel, immer nach vorne zu kommen und immer zum Abschluss zu kommen, hoch zu pressen, auch wieder schnell drauf zu gehen, schnell den Ball wieder zurückzuerobern. Ja, aber da braucht es einen konkreten Plan dazu und die tagtägliche Arbeit.
What about Guardiola? Was he a big influence on you coming here? There's a very Spanish influence now on the team.
Yeah, there were lots of reasons, but of course working with Pep, it's always a motivation for any player because the passion he has, the knowledge he has of the game, you know that you are going to improve and you are going to learn lots of things. And so far I have just been here for a few months, but you see that he has different things from the other managers. And that's knowledge that I am gaining.
Pep Guardiola is tactically unbelievable good, and that is they are I think really special in not just in Bundesliga, in Europe or in the world tactically. I think that is really good thing what they are doing. After that, they have a really unbelievable players like Robben, Ribéry. They are the guys who
win the games, aren't they?
Yeah, they are making difference. After that, okay, all the other guys, Götze, Müller, Schweinsteiger, Lahm, they are really good players. In that positions, they are one of the best in the world. So. Now in this moment, all these things together with the coach, they build this perfect team.
Well, I think it's a great school. I mean, I came here, as I said, as a young guy at 16, and it provided me with a great structure and platform to succeed. I learned a lot from the German mentality or the Munich mentality. So to be able to come here and to learn that, and I think if you look at the team now, you got the perfect complement of players like Lahm and Schweinsteiger who came through the youth team, who are great players but also great personalities, and then you've got the addition of the individual stars like a Ribéry and a Robben who in the big games have made an incredible difference. I think it's proof that that does work, and hopefully there is the next Schweinsteiger and the next Lahm, because I think the identity with the fans and the football club through these players coming through youth is very important to the identity of the football club.
This identity is very important, and this is also the reason why our club now had achieved to get 260,000 club members and around 300,000 members of our fan clubs. It means right now we have more than 550,000 active club members. And in Germany, at the moment we have 15 million supporters, 15 million fans. And we know that more than 70% of these fans, of these supporters, are living every day with our club. Over the world we have more than 400 million supporters. The group, the number of our supporters, for example in China, in Southeast Asia, is growing dramatically. And this is also very important for our future.
How do you see the club growing in the next, next 5 years?
So, telling the truth, I'm still optimistic because we have a good team. What we have to do, we have now some players who getting a bit older time by time, like Philipp, Bastian, Xabi, Alonso, Ribéry, Robben. So all these guys are now between 30 and 32. So there will be a moment where we have to find the appropriate time to change. And this time we of course will be very difficult because we have a big sympathy for this generation which are doing very well. But of course our task is to find the right moment to do the exchange of these important rules. But I believe we are prepared about that mentality. We have a good coach who is ready to go ahead with us in doing these. And from the financial point of view, the club fortunately still is very wealthy, so we believe that we still can compete independent by the TV money, which I just can congratulate the guys from England, especially Mr. Scudamore, for doing just a big deal in favor of Premier League. That will be helpful for Premier League, of course, because that gives them a certain advantage in the transfer market competition. But however, we had always our own philosophy in that, anticipating the market, doing the market or interpreting the market in a different way, and giving space as well also to youth players, to young players, like we did with you in 2001, and today we're doing with other players. So we are obliged to go different ways than clubs like Real, like Barcelona.
Ein Generationenwechsel, der noch nicht heute und auch nicht morgen, aber der auf Bayern zukommt. Philipp Anfang 30, Basti Anfang 30, Xabi Alonso ist schon ein bisschen mehr. Arjen Robben, Franck Ribéry Anfang 30, also diese Position im zentralen Bereich des Mittelfeldes und im vorderen Bereich über die Seiten. Das ist eine Herausforderung, aber ich bin der Meinung, wenn man große Spieler hat, dann kann man auch mit großen Spielern die Dinge besprechen, was die Zukunft des Vereins betrifft, weil natürlich kann man sagen, die beiden Offensiven haben bis 17 Vertrag, ab 17 machen wir. Philipp hat bis 18, Xabi Alonso und Basti haben bis 16. Ab dann machen wir, dann ist es zu spät. Dann ist es zu spät. Also wir müssen natürlich versuchen, einen Übergang zu finden. Und ich bin immer der Meinung, für einen Spieler, Sie wissen das, ich weiß auch, es kommt ein Spieler und so, und man spricht nicht mit ihm, ist ja mal ein bisschen sauer, ich war ein großer Spieler, ich habe große Verdienste, was machen Sie? Man denkt immer noch, man kann noch mit 45 spielen, aber das ist nicht so. Aber warum? Warum? Ich bin der Meinung, und ich habe auch mit Karl-Heinz drüber gesprochen, wenn wir anfangen zu verändern, lass uns die Spieler mit ins Boot holen, lass mit denen reden. Ich glaube, dass sie das respektieren, und Offenheit und Ehrlichkeit, weil der Verein hat eine Verantwortung. Es geht nicht, in diesem Verein, es geht nicht um natürlich geprägt, aber es geht nicht allein um Philipp Lahm. Nach Philipp Lahm muss der Verein funktionieren, das ist die Aufgabe, auch Philipps Aufgabe.
Und Philipp möchte das auch.
Ich weiß das. Und deshalb ist es nur eins schlecht. Man trifft Entscheidungen, aber die es betrifft, hast du nicht im Boot. Das ist immer schlecht. Wenn wir Überlegungen haben, hey, Philipp, Basti, was immer, oder mit Arjen oder Franke, schau, wir müssen für die Zukunft auch, komm, lass uns ein bisschen besprechen, das ist unsere Verantwortung, aber es betrifft auch dich, finden wir eine gute Lösung. Ich glaube, das ist zumindest mein Traum, dass es so funktionieren kann.
Ich glaube schon, dass der Verein so weitermachen kann. Die Struktur stimmt einfach in dem Verein. Also es ist familiär gehalten, aber es wird auch wirtschaftlich sehr, sehr gut gearbeitet hier im Verein. Und das ist natürlich eine Basis, um erfolgreich zu sein. Und so sehe ich oder mache ich mir keine Sorgen für die Zukunft. Es werden andere oder in anderen Ländern wie England, die natürlich mit den Fernsehgeldern einen großen Vorteil haben, finanziell. Aber ich glaube, der FC Bayern hat sich in den letzten Jahren durch die Tradition, die der Verein einfach auch hat, der seit Jahrzehnten einfach immer oben mit dabei ist, auch international, ist er sehr, sehr bekannt. Ob in England, ob in Spanien, ob in Italien, in den großen Ligen. Er ist überall bekannt, dieser Verein, mit einer großen Tradition einfach. Aber er hat natürlich auch wirtschaftliche Kraft dahinter.
Why do you think I made it?
Yes, you have another things what other players have not enough. You have a good spirit for this. You have the Canadian mentality. Like a hockey player, you was very aggressive and quick, and you have a fighting spirit. And you learn with good players in Germany, and you come to the professional team, and they learn you to play football on the high level. And you have the good mentality for them before you with big injuries. But I think it was your way.
Yeah, it's not the same when it's not lit up red. When it's lit up red, especially at night in those Champions League nights, it's like, it looks like a spaceship has landed. It's crazy. I guess they're not worried about the electricity bill. So you see that U-Bahn. U-Bahn means kind of the underground, so it's where they get the train in and then they walk up that pathway up to the ground, which, yeah, it's a bit of a walk, but I guess they get to walk off all that beer and bratwurst that they're going to be eating at the game. It was still all pretty much the same. I mean, it's a new stadium. Remember when we first came in here? I mean, the Olympic Stadium was pretty cool, but it was, it was pretty old. And this was just, when we first came in, we were all just, it's pretty cool. Nice little touch. You all got the player pictures kind of above the locker. This used to be my locker. I see Philip Lam has nicked mine, which is cool. I'm good with that. When we had the Olympic Stadium, it was quite tight. We didn't have a ton of space to warm up. So when we came here, some medical room through there for tapes and things for the doctors and the physios. But when we came here, there was a lot of space to go warm up and play with balls and kind of just get warmed up before the game. So most of the time, guys are just chill and listen to music. The South Americans, Claudio, and those guys were always big into their music. So a lot of the guys had headphones in, concentrating, preparing. I mean, everybody's different, so. But not much has changed. I mean, I was fortunate because I scored the first goal to open the Allianz Arena. Probably wasn't on many people's list. I mean, I didn't score a ton of goals, but when I did, I scored pretty nice goals. So I think on the day I was playing left back, and one of my good friends, one of my best friends, Santa Cruz, was playing centre forward. I remember I came out from the left. I think he just popped it out to me. It was just instinct, and it was just, the idea was to almost hit it like a free kick. Remember, I think I went into that corner. It wasn't probably the most beautiful celebration, but it was a great goal. It was a new era for this club, to go from the Olympic Stadium to come here. I remember I went up into the lounge after the game. Franz Beckenbauer said to me, "Wow, you play really good. You got to play like that all the time. You've got so much more to give." So I remember thinking, okay, I've set the standard now. I kind of got to keep it up if the Kaiser's on me. I mean, this was kind of the start for me. It was my first year with the first team, and you can see that at the bottom of the picture, Hamburg, May 19th, 2001. I was saying Schalke thought they had won the league title. They were already celebrating in the stadium. And we got a free kick in the last minute. Myself, Effenberg, and Patrick Anderson won the free kick. And I remember saying to Effe, "Let me take the free kick, let me take the free kick." Because I wasn't bad on free kicks. And in the end, Effenberg trumped me with his seniority and set it up to Patrick Anderson. And we ended up winning the league, and to the devastation of the Schalke fans. I don't think they've never recovered really from that, but it's a cool picture. I've never seen it before. That's what you never see when you play. You don't get to see all these moments kind of from a distance. And a week later, we took that momentum and we went to the Champions League final in Milan against Valencia, and we won that on penalties. So it was a pretty good first year in professional football. This is kind of home for me, 16 to 26, I matured here and became a man. and learned a lot about so many different aspects of life here. So it had a massive impact on me as a person. Yeah, you look at those pictures and those celebrations and stuff, it takes you back. Yeah, I came here as a young boy without my family at 16, no guarantees, and then to be able to have a lot of that success. I was so focused on doing better. I was so focused on improving and getting better that as soon as you were done, literally within half an hour, you were thinking about the next one. This is a place where you can achieve virtually everything. I mean, you can't play forever, and as beautiful as it is and all the memories you collect, you got to move on to the next chapter. I remember once you said to me, we were over in the dressing room, and you said to me, what are you going to do when you go back to Canada? And I said, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm going to be a professional here. On to chapter 2, I guess.